Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another Is It Worth the Grind video, and today we are looking at the T110E3, the American unturreted tank destroyer. So, is this thing worth the grind? Well, hell yeah. If, and only if you want to get a slow, well-armored TD, because this is exactly what it is. If you're expecting something fun to play, exciting, fast, then never in a million years. But this thing is good at what it does, and it is quite situational, but when you get into the right situations, it really can bring the pain on your enemies. So let's look into the armor. You can see these armor values are ridiculous. Gold rounds will struggle to pen this thing, and you'll see that in the replay as well. Cupola, a weak spot. Really? Weak spot my ass. There's no weak spot here. Lower plate. I wouldn't believe these numbers like spot on. It's 152. It's pretty well sloped as you can see, but there's weak spots here. Like you can see something like 180, 157 and shit like that. So if you're facing this thing frontally, you should try to shoot these areas from both sides. If he's angling like slightly, then obviously go for the side he's not angled very well. Other weak spots on day 3, this cupola here, if you hit it right, it's 75 armor. No chance to bounce at all. Side armor, the superstructure is 150. You should really not try to shoot it if you see it in like this angles. It's not very well sloped, but it will still bounce if you hit it in awkward angles like from below and shit. Try to shoot it in the tracks. Tracking ammo rack shots are really common if you can see the tracks, obviously. If it's all down, that your chance really is to shoot this or load gold and try to hit through this, but it's not really a guaranteed penetration. Rear sides and all this shit is almost no armor. If you get flanked, most likely will get your engine damaged with the first or second shot. So try not to get flanked, obviously. But yeah, that's more or less there is to say about the armor. One thing I'll mention, the gun has really good gun depression. It's probably the best gun depression of any of the tier 10 TDs. It's 8 degrees, so hull down is pretty easy with this tank. And yeah, that's more or less everything there is to say here, and let's get into the replay. So there we go, standard battle. Really good matchmaking. Only tier 10, my team is not that great, but E3, when it's the only tier 10, is extremely powerful. So what is the E3 good for and how you should play it? Well, the E3 is a really poor assault vehicle. You cannot assault shit with this. You have to hold the choke point while you're hull down if you want to have a great game. If you want to have a good game, then yeah, sure, you can drive forward, shoot somebody, he'll shoot you back, maybe track you and fuck you up. But for a great game, you need a choke point. You need to be slightly outnumbered, not too much, because if you're outnumbered too much, you're just gonna get flanked and fucked. Tanks Alpha got nerfed to 750, so it doesn't trade that well anymore, but it still trades really good for against most enemy tanks. As you can see, the tank is not a sprinter. It is not very fast, and it doesn't turn very well either, so it's sort of like an Jagdpanzer E100. It's slightly faster than that, but not by much. And the armor, you might say it's much better, but if you get a Jagdpanzer hull down, it's not that. It's so easy to pen those as well. It's easier than to pen these, but most of the time, Jagdpanzer versus E3, Jagdpanzer will come on top because of the huge alpha difference and the fact that the Jagdpanzer's gun actually can punch through your cupola, and you can't really shoot anybody without showing your cupola. And if the Jagdpanzer gets lucky, he can pen your cupola, take 1000 damage, 1000 health off you, and you're left a one shot to him. And it's really hard to deal with the Jagdpanzers if they get sort of lucky and pen your cupola. Then you're kind of screwed. So let's talk the gun now. 750 Alpha got nerfed recently. 295 penetration. No goal runs ever needed, so I haven't even single one loaded. Accuracy of 0.36 with 2.5 second aiming time. Pretty good gun stats. The reload is around 14 seconds, and which makes the DPM not great for a tier 10 TD, but it's alright. For an armor you have, the DPM is quite nice actually. So here we go. Shooting gallery. I'm held down. They can shoot the top machine gun to it, or my gun mantlet. Extremely strong position for the E3, and now everything I have to do is not shoot like a monkey. Trust me, I will though. So Yeah, E100 lower plate, 1500 completely free damage. And this is what you want. You can see that we are quite heavily outnumbered, but not enough for me to actually try to retreat just yet. This position is just way too strong for me to leave it. Right, maybe I should have taken that shot. Aiming at the eyesight, realizing that I should start focusing targets, but I don't really want to expose myself too much, and I fuck up my shot. Oh, that is a really bad play. You don't want to fuck up your shots when you're outnumbered so heavily. You need to make every shot count. The DPM is not gonna save you if you're not hitting your shots. So I want to really get rid of this E100. Looking right at me, turret shot, 295 penetration. He has like 250 turret armor. I rolled unlucky on the penetration, and he was angling slightly, so yeah, that's just unlucky. Nothing else to say about that one. IS-8 with the Top Gun bounce, another one, and I should finally do again some damage. It's always nice. IS-3 trying to snipe my cupola, never gonna happen, buddy. You saw the armor wall used, not with the IS-3 gun. Gold or not gold, never gonna pen that. IS-8, I knew I could focus the KV-4 down, but it's a KV-4, I don't give a shit. And the IS-8 is slightly more dangerous. So the IS-3 started to load HE. I'm gonna repair this. I really don't want to sit here. You really don't want to get RT'd, so you try to move as much as you can. You can't move much because this tank is not very fast, as you already have noticed. And there's a little ring around the Tiger 1, the Tiger 2's gun, that I cannot penetrate. And I obviously hit that because there's nothing else that on that tank that would bounce my shell. IS-3 with another HE shell. This one doesn't even do any damage. One RD shell misses. KV-4 tracks me. Shooting the IS-3's roof. 100% with guaranteed penetration with this gun. IS-3 does 39 damage, but he's about to die because he cannot get away from me, really. IS-8 gold bounce. Other RD hits me, but that won't save the IS-3. So equipment wise, I'm using gun grabber, ventilation, and coated optics just because I'm a big coated optics fan. You might switch out coated optics. It's not the worst thing to switch out on this tank, but when you find yourself on your own pushing a flank, you really want those optics. You really want to spot the camping TDs, and that's why optics are really good. Cruise skill wise, there's not really much that you actually need apart from repairs, like first skill, almost all repairs and 6th sense, just to get this tank playable. If you don't have repair skill on this, you really need the toolbox because it will repair for 3 hours. Like, seriously, you really need toolbox with this tank. Without repair skill, that is. So there's 2 ways to get this tank. Going through a turreted line and switching at tier 8. That's the route I took. I could recommend it more than the other route if you are even slightly interested in D4. If you don't give a shit about D4, well, surely you have to go the other way. The other way is to get the non-turreted TDs, the Jackson, the T25AT, and so on, T28. That going to non-turreted TD line has one advantage. At tier 8, your stock grind will not be as painful because you'll have the 105 at tier 7. Non-turreted TDs get the 105 only at tier 8, and it is a really painful grind on a T28 if you don't have the 105. So what I can recommend is to free XP the 105 on the T28. With the 105 it's playable. It's not very good, but it's playable. You can unlock that and then go to tier 9 and 10, but if you go the non-turreted TD line, you don't have to drop much free XP. None of the stock grinds are really bad. It's always better. Well, T29 and T95 with the 120 mil is not the greatest tank in the game. It's extremely slow, and if the gun doesn't hit for 750, then you won't have much fun with it. So this game so far been seal clipping lower tiers mostly. E100 as well. Didn't pen him with one shot in the turret, sadly. Got slightly unlucky, but with those shots, but other than that, the game has been pretty good for me. The enemy already wasn't focusing me for some unknown reason because he really should have. Here's one scumbag, get the kill on that, and look for the other one, and here he is. With 14-second reload means that you can kill RDs faster now than you used to before because of you have too much alpha anyways to kill RDs, and here's the second one. But you can just see how powerful this tank can be when you get hull down, when you fight lower tier enemies or even tier 10s. It didn't really matter what was facing me. They really needed to shoot gold into my cupola if they could have any chances. Even the IS-8 with his heat couldn't penetrate my cupola. So that is like 300 something penetration, and if he can't penetrate me, not many guns can pen the cupola. Tier 10 TDs with gold almost guaranteed pen in the cupola, but other than that, people really struggle with this. And not a lot of people know about the small weak spot next to the gun, the commander's hatch, no, whatever hatch it is, driver's hatch, I'm not sure. But the one I showed you at the start. But if people actually start to pen you, you're in a bit of trouble because this tank doesn't have a lot of health. Plus, if RD hits you, you're kind of screwed. Most of the times, though, this tank gets killed by getting flanked. And don't be that guy who's the last guy left alive in your team with full health in an E3. That means that not your team failed, but you failed your team. And you should really try to use this tank's capabilities of holding a flank or going hull down or just trading well. Try not to camp too much. This tank really needs to use its armor to make it better than other TDs at tier 10. So here we go, 2031 experience, high caliber steel ball, 1800 spotted, 6.8k damage done. A decent result for matchmaking like this. RD didn't focus me, I don't know why, but I'll take it anyways. You can just see how the E3 performs when you get it in the perfect position. If you don't, you can have some games where you get penetrated every shot you take. So and even in those games, you want to trade 1 for 1, and you will probably come on top, and you'll at least manage to do something like 3.5k damage or something like that. Even if any shots penetrate, every shot that hits you penetrates you. E3 is quite situational, but when the situation it is in is good for it, it can perform really well. My shooting wasn't perfect in this game. I could have landed at least 2 or 3 more hits, so could have done like 8-9k damage, but that was just up to my bad shooting. But you can just see how good the E3 can be. This thing or the Jagdpanzer E100, I would prefer the Jagdpanzer just because of the alpha. I like the style of the Jagdpanzer more as well. Gets pretty good armor as well, and then gets more hit points and so on. But the E3 is good at what it does, and if you know what you want, and this is what you want, then it is totally worth your time and the grind. But if you don't want to play solo TDs, then obviously E3 is not for you. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you on the next one.